Trust in the judiciary is not a privilege. It is something that is earned. And concomitantly with that, it imposes an obligation that rests upon the very foundation of our democratic principles. The road to reform, as we all know, is neither easy nor immediate. Yet, as jurists and guardians of the law, we must embrace the challenges ahead with resolute determination. On the 21st of September 2024, I declared a reform roadmap laying out a blueprint for institutional reform aimed at restoring public trust, ensuring efficiency, and upholding judicial independence. Today, I wish to revisit and expand upon that vision. One of the cornerstones of this roadmap is the need for institutional autonomy. For the judiciary to perform its constitutional role effectively, it must be insulated from all external influences. A judiciary that lacks administrative and financial independence cannot remain impartial, nor can it deliver justice with the swiftness that society demands. To that end, I have already forwarded a comprehensive set of short-term proposals to the government, emphasizing the need for immediate reforms in financial independence and administrative autonomy. In that context, a separate judicial secretariat is no longer a mere aspiration. It is an exigent necessity. The judiciary's administrative matters should not remain under the control of the executive. Such an arrangement stands wholly in discordance with the doctrine of separation of powers, which is one of the fundamental tenets of constitutionalism. A fully independent judicial secretariat will allow the judiciary to manage its own affairs, free from external oversight or interference, and ensure greater efficiency in case management and judicial administration. For the Supreme Court to remain the standard bearer of integrity and wisdom, the process of judicial appointments must be beyond reproach. I have already made concrete proposals for the establishment of an independent judicial appointment council, a body tasked with selecting judges based solely on merit, integrity, and professional excellence. The judiciary is not merely another arm of the state. It discharges fundamentally the sovereign judicial function of the state. It is the custodian of the people's trust. Appointments to the highest echelons must therefore reflect the dignity and the solemnity of this role. The restoration of the Supreme Judicial Council after the disposal of the review of the 16th Amendment case is of paramount importance. This institution must be empowered to oversee the removal of judges of the Apex Court, ensuring a fair, independent, and non-political mechanism for judicial accountability. By reinstating the Supreme Judicial Council, we have reaffirmed our commitment to institutional autonomy and safeguard the integrity of the judiciary from undue influence, even from the legislative branch of the state. The members of the district judiciaries and magistracies form the bedrock of our legal system. The significance of their role in delivering justice at the grassroots level cannot be overstated. However, frequent and arbitrary transfers disrupt their ability to serve effectively. I am therefore committed to implementing structured and merit-based transfer guidelines that will ensure transparency, fairness, and stability within the judiciary. Judicial officers at the end of the day deserve, in the bare minimum, to work with dignity, free from the fear of undue interference. In keeping with our broad vision for reform, I have articulated a strategic plan for the judiciary encompassing short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. The short-term proposals, along with detailed concept notes, have already been submitted to the government and include reforms aimed at enhancing judicial institutional autonomy, financial independence, and addressing the issues of judicial vacancies. In the medium term, I envision the full implementation of e-judiciary initiatives and training programs for judges to equip them with modern tools and techniques. In the long term, we aim to establish a judiciary that is truly independent, efficient, and staying relevant, equipped with an ever-evolving capability of responding to the needs of an ever-evolving society. My peers, the Appellate Division and High Court Division of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh. The Supreme Court of Bangladesh stands as a sentinel of justice, equity, and constitutional governance. That is self-evident. Its role in shaping a just society cannot be overstated. Through landmark judgments, this court has not only defended the Constitution, but has also upheld the rights and liberties of the people. From protecting the sanctity of fundamental rights to ensuring executive accountability, the Supreme Court has served as the bulwark against oppression and injustice. Yet, even the loftiest institutions must engage in introspection. As judges, we must hold ourselves to the highest standards of conduct and integrity. Here I recall the timeless words of Socrates, who declared that the unexamined life is not worth living. This wisdom holds particular weight for all of us. As judges tasked with safeguarding the lives and liberties of others, systemic reform requires continuous evaluation of the self. Such introspection should better help us at approaching issues like scandalization of court and judges from a fresh perspective, in keeping with emergent standards governing this branch of the law of contempt. In the context of judicial conduct, it is essential to reflect on the views of Lord Atkin, whose interpretation of contempt remains profoundly relevant. Lord Atkin believed that the dignity and authority of the judiciary are not fragile ornaments to be shielded from fair and reasoned criticism. He argued that judicial authority rests not on unquestioned reverence, but on the public's faith in the fairness, integrity, and transparency of the judicial process. As he said, justice is not a cloistered virtue. And he observed that it must be allowed to suffer the scrutiny and respectful, though outspoken comments of ordinary men. This statement highlights the importance of judicial humility and the ability to withstand constructive criticism. It is often said that power unchecked leads to hubris and debilitating complacency. As judges, we are not above scrutiny. Introspection is both a privilege and a responsibility. For the judiciary must lead by example. Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer once reminded us that criticism of the courts, when fair and constructive, is not contempt, but a tool for refinement. However, reckless scandalization of the judiciary meant and calculated at eroding the trust in its integrity must not be tolerated. As judges, we must strike a delicate balance. to welcome reasoned criticism and fair comment as part of democratic discourse, while protecting the institution from malicious attacks that threaten its very legitimacy. We as judges must not only deliver judgments with integrity, but also remain open to reflection and feedback. Public scrutiny, when exercised responsibly, is an invaluable check on the judiciary. It is through such dialogue and introspection that we strengthen our resolve, reaffirm our ethical commitments, and ensure that the judiciary continues to embody the principles of justice. Justice Benjamin Cardozo once observed, "The judge, even when he is free, is still not wholly free. He is not to innovate at pleasure. He is not a knight-errant roaming at will in pursuit of his own ideal of beauty or of goodness." This profound statement reminds us that judges must abide by the law, act with restraint, and remain conscious of the constitutional limits of their role. Learned members of the bar, it is pertinent to raise the issue here of a constructive engagement with the bar as equal partners in this transformative phase of the Supreme Court's history. We must, in the bare minimum, strike a working consensus by identifying the lowest common denominator on any given issue and building on the same with sustainable objectives in mind. In particular, recent events convinced me to broach the subject of the relationship between the bar and the bench, which has been put to the test on the issue of the bar's attitude taken towards certain judges. It suffices to state here that the highest degree and standard of propriety is expected from the members of the bar, even when directing a fair comment or constructing an expose directed at a particular judge. Care must be taken in this regard not to impair the administration of justice. Indeed, there is a corresponding duty of the bar to protect judges from scurrilous attacks when judges themselves have no voice to refute allegations and ward off aspersions directed at them. Ladies and gentlemen, the reforms I speak of today are not mere ideals. They are pragmatic measures rooted in the needs of our time. I draw inspiration in this regard from the words of Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, who said, "The life of the law has not been logic, it has been experience." Our experience demands that we act now with courage and resolve to transform the judiciary into an institution that delivers justice swiftly, fairly, and independently, bearing in mind the interests of its main constituents, the people of this republic. In closing, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all who have worked tirelessly to uphold the sanctity of this great institution. Let this Supreme Court Day serve as a reminder of the sacrifices that made this day possible and the responsibilities that lie before us. The Supreme Court of Bangladesh is not merely an institution. It is the embodiment of justice, the hope of the oppressed, and the voice of the Constitution. It is our solemn duty to preserve its dignity and worth and to ensure that it remains the beacon of justice for generations to come. Thank you very much.